Welcome to Common Ground, an inside look at Suffolk County. I'm your host, Sheriff Tompkins, and this week we're actually down in Revere. I figured now what we're going to do now that I'm sheriff is we're going to take the program on the road, and so I'm going to go to all of the communities inside of Suffolk County to talk with all of the influentials, the people that make things happen, the folk that live here and really care about their community. Not that they don't care about Suffolk County in its entirety, but it's a little different when you're in Revere and you're talking about Revere or Chelsea and you're talking about Chelsea. And so to that end, my first guest as sheriff here in Revere is your mayor, Mayor Dan Rizzo. So Mayor Rizzo, talk to us about the richness and the texture, the many textures of Revere, and why the folks here just love saying to anybody that will listen, I come from Revere. That's my home. That's the place that I know and I love.
As you know, Revere has a long-standing history, as does the city of Boston. Here, where our founding fathers really originated, the signing of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. I mean, we are an area that is just full of history. And Revere, where we sit just north of Boston, I believe has always been ideally situated. You know, we're not a major urban metropolis, but we sit just 5 minutes north. You know, we're 5 minutes from downtown Boston. We're 5 minutes from Logan Airport. We've got 3 stops on the Blue Line for public transportation. So really, and probably one of our biggest attributes is we're home of America's first public beach, Revere Beach, that was named a National Historic Landmark back, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago. So all with the help of Congressman Markey, I might add. So it really is a place where obviously myself and many people love to call home. And I think if you talk to a lot of people, for one reason or another, people have had the opportunity to at least visit Revere. We've got a lot of major educational institutions. You know, some of the greatest universities sit right in and around Boston. And so even the president himself, when he was here, with all of us at the memorial service last week, unfortunately, talked about his connection to Massachusetts and the city of Boston, and really, so anybody that has basically come through the city of Boston in one way or another manages to find their way down to Revere Beach. We've got Kelly's roast beef down there.
Gotta love Kelly's. Gotta love Kelly's.
Yeah,
right.
and just so many other places down there, particularly in years past when it was home to all the amusement rides and a lot of the pizzerias and so on.
Let me ask you about that. So now you're born and bred here.
Yeah.
Has it changed much over those many years, or has it basically remained the same?
You know, it's definitely changed, as has the country. I mean, the entire country, I think, is not what it was 25, 35, 45 years ago.
Right.
You know, Revere back years ago was predominantly, if I had to categorize, it was pretty much, European, Irish, Italian, Jewish, and
working class.
And working class, blue class, right. Community.
Right.
But over time that has changed. A lot of people, as the suburbs grew and people started to want to spread out a little bit more, people right. moved, in our case being on the North Shore, people moved further north. But there's a lot of people who continue to stay here and their families have stayed here, and because it is a great place to live and raise a family. I mean, I was just down our high school earlier this morning, where we were celebrating a particular program that we do in collaboration with Mass General. And, Dr. Dakin had released the news that while it may sound high, Revere High School in a U.S. News and World Report was named like I want to say 1800th best high school in the country. Now 1800 may sound high,
right, but in the country,
when you think about how
great.
many high
That's
schools
right.
are in,
That's
there's
right.
probably 400 or 500 in California. No, probably more than that. There's probably closer to 1,000 or 1,500 out in California alone, right? So,
right.
really, we've got a terrific school system here, and
Is the cost of living less than it is in Boston, or is it comparable to Boston?
the cost of living. I was looking at some of the median home prices that seemed way off to me. I know they must have used the numbers, and they've got to be factual, but the home prices have been a little bit lower than maybe some surrounding communities are, but I'm seeing that, ticking upwards. Just looking at some of the recent sales just in the newspaper. Seeing what homes are selling for. So
Is that coming back here? So
I
home
bel-
ownership is starting to kind of get back up to speed where it was years ago?
I think so. I think so. We went through a terrible foreclosure crisis
Yeah.
here in the city during the recent recession. Back in 2008, and I think we really bottomed out in 2010 when I think we had I want to say somewhere in the vicinity of 400 foreclosures. It was really awful. There's nothing worse really for people to be faced with that type of a problem.
Right.
Losing their homes. So,
Right.
but we're starting to see that come back, and starting to see a lot of renewed confidence with investors coming into the city. And we're obviously working very hard to try and attract that, because, as you know, it's a very competitive environment that we're in, and
Right.
cities and towns are battling for business. And but that's what we're trying to do. When a business comes in, it comes in, and what do? They hire people. So, the more people we can get to work, the more they can, support and sustain their families.
So, for those that don't know, take us inside the mayor's office when you're faced with challenges like that. Getting homes, getting people back to work, reviving communities. How is it that you, as mayor, who do you work with? How do you make this kind of engine get back up to speed and go forward?
It's probably, I guess I would probably relate that to how you run your operation, right? Like, you surround yourself with good people that help you make good decisions, and that's what I do. I've got a lot of great people around me that, and everybody kind of takes one of those moving parts. I talked about the school system, where we have an excellent, actually, he's superintendent of the year this year in
Oh,
Massachusetts.
congratulations. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So
awesome.
we're very, very proud of him
Right.
in our entire school department. When I took office, we did not have an economic development director. I hired an economic development director to go out there and be proactive in bringing business to the community. So I'm in constant touch with him and our planning department. So, we have a lot of activity there. My finance team, I'm in constant contact with them. So it's really a collaborative effort amongst many people that, that really make the city run and make the city go. But one thing that I try to do, in conjunction with the city council, is, we try to keep an open flow, an open dialogue with information coming and going. And, I think that's very, very important. We try to do that not just within the confines of city government, but with our residents as well. We try to be as open and and provide as much information as we possibly can, and try to engage people.
That's an
Because,
important thing.
I think the more we can get the community engaged, I think it builds for stronger neighborhoods and a stronger community.
So, in tough times, was it difficult to get the community engaged, or conversely, were they more engaged because of difficulties going on out there in the economy and so on and so forth?
It's hard to draw a comparison, because I think to a certain extent there's still a lot of people that are having, a very difficult time. So, but I think overall, if you're proactive and your outreach is there, and you're going and you're really reaching out to the public and saying, look, we want you involved. We want you in help setting policy. We want you in help, help us rebuild and revitalize our city.
Right.
People, I think, want to be engaged, and I think that, in a lot of ways, brings people in and lets people, puts that thought that I think for a lot of people would be in their heads. Geez, maybe I'll move. I'll try to find greener pastures, or I'll look elsewhere. To me, you have a lot of great attributes right here that I talked about before, including the ocean front and our access to both the north and south shores and so on. So You know, but yeah, I think that you know, it's hard when you say, you know, as things get better or when things were worse. I can't really draw that distinction. I just think that we have to, regardless, because we're going to have good times, we're going to have bad times.
Right.
But I think we have to keep a consistent program out there where, you know, we want people engaged, and we want as many people engaged as we possibly can.
So let me ask you this. Now, did you grow up in a civically active family? And really, by extension, what is it that inspired you to want to be mayor?
you know,
Because that's not an easy job.
My family, no, you know, look, I don't think being sheriff could be an easy job either. I think a lot of people, there's a lot of people out there, and this isn't humble pie talking here. This is just, there's a lot of people that go out there and they work very hard every day to support their families and support themselves. So, but yeah, you know, is it a lot of responsibility? Yes, but you know, as far as my family being civically involved, you know, no one in my family ever got involved in politics or anything like that. I know that they've supported candidates in the past, and you know, but just you know, just basically in that capacity. I think for myself, when I first went into business for myself with my brother and my father, you know, getting more active in the business community, and through that, kind of following local politics a little bit more, just kind of inspired me. And then you start to meet some elected officials that, you know, give you a little push here and there and say maybe you should think about running. And so I finally did, and I was very fortunate. I had a lot of great support, and but then naturally, as you know, once you get there, you got to prove yourself. That's you know, and so, you know, but it's, you know, really been great. The people of this city are tremendous. I couldn't represent, you know, people from a better community. So,
talk to me about your fitness challenge that you guys have coming up. What's the highlights of that?
Yeah, I should have been the first person in line to sign up for that.
And I should have been second, right behind you, right?
In any case, it's you know, this is our second year. It is a 6-week challenge that a bunch of our local health clubs and facilities are involved. It was kind of spearheaded by Jody and Sean Reith from Millions of Muscles that you know, had came to me and talked to me about getting Revere healthy, you know, whether it be kids, adults, seniors, just putting people on a path to health. And so, you know, that in conjunction with Revere on the Move, that, you know, is part and parcel with Mass in Motion. It's the whole effort, I think, probably that stems from you know, from the First Lady, really, who was looking to, you know, to get the country healthy. And so, so, you know, that's going to run for 6 weeks, where there'll be free classes all around the city. There'll be boot camps, there'll be dance classes, Zumba, you name it, you know, karate, kickboxing. There's going to be a lot of different, you know, fitness professionals that are going to volunteer, all in an effort to help get our residents healthy. And at the end, there's going to be prizes and trophies and things like that. And it really is great. Our first one was last year, and it's really amazing. I attended the ceremonies that marked the end of the challenge. There were people that did extremely well. So I would encourage all residents to get involved in it. I'm going to try to get involved. I think I am involved to a certain extent. I'm going to be doing a walk a couple of mornings a week, a 2-mile walk around my neighborhood, and anyone that wants to latch on can latch on.